Greetings one and all, how's everyone doing? Happy Saturday. It is October 2nd. No, is it the 2nd? I think it's the 3rd. 2nd or 3rd. It's the 2nd. So I have no idea when this video will be up, but it gives you a kind of a time frame of, you know, when things come up. But anyway, I'm continuing on with my emergency camp kind of theory. And it's a work in progress, like I said. What I did is if you saw the last video, I modded my tarp, added, I sewed on a tie-outs for my tarp, which I've got to remember to put in, remember the name of it, and two, remember the, remember the name, but I'll definitely link the Amazon description for that pack. Now, you can see I'm carrying a much bigger pack than normal. It's a new pack I bought. There might be a video before this going over it. I do want to say though, if I was just on a day hike, I would have packed differently. I wouldn't have brought the BK7 on a day hike, but I came to the National Forest. So my mindset for forest changed my loadout, because I brought my axe, I brought my saw, a big buck saw. So I'm going to do a fire today. So I packed differently, knowing because of where I was going. But I've had plenty of day trips out here, and dozens of day trips, literally several dozen day trips at least, just coming out, doing a fire, doing some food. I should say, yeah, a lot of videos. And so, but there's always the question, well, what if, what if you get stuck? What if you have to spend a night? What are you going to do? And that video, this is kind of a shelter system I'm working on. Like I said, it's a work in progress. And I'm going to set my pack down. Everything out here is wet, so I got to find a nice place to set it. I'll show you what I got going on. No, I'm not going to set out. I brought everything to spend the night. I brought the ground sheet, for moisture barrier from the ground. I got the sleeping pad, the pillow, the fleece, the thermite blanket, the sleeping bag thing I brought. I got that too, so I got the layers. And I'm basically just going to be setting up the tarp. As a test setup, because I want to see how it looks, test out what I'm doing, let you guys see it, comment. I'm running along at 3 minutes in intro, so let's get to it. Okay, so as I said, not the ideal place to camp, but it's the ideal place to film and demonstrate. So I've got my paracord, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run paracord from that tree there to the tree I set my pack on, and then put the tarp in the middle. So I'm going to do that off camp. Okay, so here are the stingers, and here's the tarp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run, because normally I would just loop these around a tree. I think there's a little diagram, which I might do on the other camera, but there's a tree here, and it loops around the tree and then just hooks into the stinger. So like I said, you don't always get the perfect. It might be a fine place to camp, but it might not be a fine place to film. So you got all the gun nuts going nuts. Man, I about a buck around. Those guys are doing all right. So do 6 feet. All right. So I'm hoping you guys can see this. Okay. Don't worry, I'll do a close-up when I get. Okay, so there you go. I'm gonna bust out the other camera here in a moment and give you a better close-up view. But here's the tarp, and I already have my cordage ready to go with my carabiner, which I'm gonna get this sucker staked out in a moment. I'm gonna go get the other camera. All right, so here's what I got. Just a simple loop over knot, and I just ran it through itself, and then I ran it down. And again, you know, not the optimal place to set up a camp, but, and then what I did is I just doubled over the Dyneema, through another loop. I just took a bite, made it in a cord, ran it through, ran it down to the stinger here, just like I did in the other one, as you can see. Just hooked it through, didn't have to make any knots, I kind of clipped it through the carabiner and just looped it here on the top. And then I just let this thing hang. And then I just looped it through. It's probably putting a lot of tension on my sewing job, but it seems to be holding up, so money. And then this is the exact same setup on the other side. So what I'm going to do the first one and the last one just to show you. I got my carabiner, which I'm going to put in my pocket for the moment. Now I'm lower to the ground, so I won't need as much cord, but it's better to have too much, I think. So about there. I don't know if you guys can see this. Just take a bite. And pull it through. And clip the carabiner on. And then hook on the stake. And then stake it out. And there had to be a rock. Good grief. Rock there. Rock there. Rock there. And my tent stake just broke. Wow. Look at that. That sucks. Just broke a damn tent stake. Good thing it's practice and I don't actually need this, because now I gotta switch out my tent stakes. Because I can't, if they break, I can't rely on them. Look at that. What the hell? Come on. Okay, I'm gonna stake out the other three. Wow, I can't believe it did that. I didn't think those things broke that easy. It sheared right off. Interesting data point. Alright, so let me get the other three staked. And then, I guess you're a little too high, but there it is. I just angled it more and hooked it on. I could go get a stick and carve a stake real quick, but the whole point of it was I could just grab them and drive them in. So let me go do the two others and I'll bring you back for the last. Dang, how much? Okay, let's fix this one real quick. Alrighty. So, a little funny story. So what I was going to do is I was going to stake this down in the ground and run this over the ridgeline. Except, you're probably saying, well, you tied off on the end so there's no ridgeline. Right, and I just realized that. Hence, practice. Just told me something else. That would have been a fatal mistake. So now I'm going to have to sew on centerpieces along with the ends. So, good to know. And I'll show you what I was talking about. Okay, so there might be an overall tarp length issue, but I'll show you a little solution I was brainstorming right now. Okay, so what I had threw in my pack last time and also this time is the Country River Products Rain Poncho, which is right here. So I'll show you what I was thinking. All right, some of you probably already know where I'm going to go with this, but I think it's fairly obvious. Now, ideally, I would be wearing a rain shell underneath this because I typically do that. But this thing just Velcros up together and Velcros apart. So I could literally just take the whole thing and drape it over. And I've got that much more space now to work with. Yeah, that looks good. Now it's not staked down. I mean, I could stake it down. I could bring extra stakes and stake it down. I could, you know, put some cordage down. Hell, I could even go with the idea I was originally going to go with and just drape a piece of paracord over and then put a rock down and, you know, pull the sides out. So I have, you know, I have room for my pack now. I have room for my gear, my boots. I'd be wearing my 511 rain shell, so I would crawl on the other side and just, you know, wiggle my way to the front, which would probably be kind of difficult, but, you know, you gotta make do, right? And then crawl in and I've got this extra coverage. In fact, I might even pre-cut a couple of loop overs and just stake them down and just hold that out, and then the hood, and just make sure to keep the hood, you know, either roll it up or tie it in. Now, wind might be an issue, but I would try to stake it down just so I have additional coverage. So, you know, it looks a mess, but now I like the idea of just having the cord loop over because I've already got the ridge on there, so at least on this side. I think that would work. Yeah, what do you guys think? Alrighty, so I guess that concludes today's shelter system. I already showed you the putting down. Now I think with this configuration, if it was pissing down rain, this is what I would go with to shed water off. But if it was just cold, I could, you know, because if it was just cold out, I could do a fire right here and then stake this and put the ridgeline higher and then do the tarp in a lean-to style and then crawl underneath it. And I've got something else in my bag. I think I showed it to you. I threw one of these emergency space blankets in there so I could either use it over me if I had to, an extra layer, or maybe I could string up another, because I've got extra cordage, I could string up another line and then use this as a reflector by the fire, and then so I'd be trapped between tarp on one side and reflector on the other. I could even go straight wall and use it as a fire reflector to push the heat back towards me. It's not raining, so hopefully wouldn't be raining, but you know, that might work pretty well to have the heat coming back, theoretically. You know, 82 by 52 inches, or 84 inches by 52 inches. So, or I could use it over me as another layer of protection, and this thing doesn't weigh hardly anything. I mean, I don't know what it weighs. It doesn't give a weight. just a little tiny little emergency space blanket, which would be hard to open out because I've seen people, you know, pulling them open. But you know, once you do it, you're good. Or I could throw in the reflective tarp, the 3x, 5x7. But you know, who knows? Like I said, it's a work in progress. I can always change out the shelter configuration, the tarp setup. You know, like I said in the last one, you know, this setup really isn't, you know, your comfortable camp setup. It's the, I'm gonna do this to get through the night. So I think it would do well. So I gotta tie on the corners to pull those out and stake them. And then I gotta get new tent stakes. So I'm actually still really surprised that that damn thing broke. It's like I can't rely on it now. Cause I mean, yes, I can go cut a tent stake and just carve one up, but now I'm having to use my knife. Now I'm having to spend the time, the calories and energy making a tent stake when I could just have them ready, drive them in, hook them up, get the shelter, and get underneath and stay dry. So there you go. So as always, I thank you for watching. You know, it's probably a lot of talking and less work, but I'm actually surprised these corners or the sewing job I did is still holding. You know, it looks like it's pulled tight, but it's, you know, it's not falling anywhere. So okay. The only thing that failed was the tent stake. Who knew? All right, well, let me know what you think in the comments, and as always, I thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.